If you need more precise control over your animation, you can go to the graph editor, which will show you the animation curves of your objects. So let's take a look at the graph editor for this particular scene. I have this rocket ship and it's basically just doing a simple animation. If I select the rocket, I can see it in the graph editor by going into Windows, Animation Editors, Graph Editor. And when I do, it brings up this window. So along the top of this, we have a menu system. We have a number of preset icons here along the top, and there's a lot more here than we can see on this screen. And then along the left side, we have all of the objects in the scene that are selected, as well as their animation parameters or attributes. So I'm going to go ahead and move this over to the side so we can see this. And if I scroll through my animation, you can see how it animates against these curves here. So this is the place where we're going to do most of our work. Now this is basically just a viewport. So if I want, I can hold down Alt and middle click to drag or pan or zoom with my right click. And this is a great way to navigate this window so we can zoom in on our animation curves. Now, if you want to frame everything, all you have to do is hit the F key, and that will do a frame all. So we can look at all of the curves at once, or we can do them one at a time. All I have to do is select any individual curve, and I can see it. So let's take a look at Translate Y. As this rocket ship moves through the scene, notice how it's moving up at frame 25. This is indicated here by the animation curve. This is the path of the object in Y. So here it's a little bit lower, here it's higher, and then it goes back down again. Now, if we want, we can actually select this key and change it. We can do that by just selecting our Move tool. I can go over here and select my Move tool, and then all I have to do is grab the key in the graph editor and left click and drag, and I can move it around. Now, if I move it up and down, I'm just going to change that value. In fact, if I move this over a little bit, you could see how the value changes in the channel box. If I move it left or right, I can actually retime my keys. So if I move it here back to 12, you'll see that I get another key here for 12. So it'll actually move up very quickly and then slowly go down. Now I have all the other keys for my animation still at frame 25. Now if I want, I can again just select this key and just move it back to 25, and you can see it changes on the timeline. Now the curves themselves are basically how the software is in-betweening the keys. So we're only setting 3 keys here, but we have 50 frames along which the object is animating. So in those in-between frames, this is what the software is calculating as the trajectory or the path of the object through space. Now we can change the way that's calculated simply by adjusting the curves. So again, I'm going to select my curve here, and then I'm going to middle click on one of these handles. I can actually select the handle and then middle click on it, and I can change how that curve works. So right now it's going to slow in, go up and over, and then back down. So again, I select the key, highlight the handle, and then middle click and drag to adjust those keys. Now, if we want, we can also have Maya automatically adjust the keys. We have some of these controls here that will change the way that these tangents work. So let me do something here. I'm going to go ahead to frame 25 and select the whole object here and just go ahead and right click and do a copy. And then let's go to 30 and do a paste. So what I've done is I've just copied my keys. Now you can see that I've copied my keys here on the timeline. So let's take a look at Translate X. So if I look at X, you can see that it's moving down in X, and then it's supposed to stop and then move down again. But one of the things it's doing is it's not really stopping. If I zoom in here, you can see that this curve is in-betweening kind of in a way that I don't want. So I could select these handles to be exactly flat. So if I were to left click here, I could adjust it however I want. Now another way to adjust tangents is to use the presets up here. Now, by default, Maya just uses this first one, which is called auto tangents. We also have one called spline tangents, which will just go ahead and put in automatic ones as well. So as I create keys, these are the defaults. But another one, which is really handy, is called clamped tangents. Now, if two values are the same, it will put a straight line between them. So if I do a clamp tangent, notice how it changes that tangent to flat. So now the object stays still in X and then moves away. Now we have a number of other presets here. If I select all of these tangents, you can probably see it a little bit better. So we have what's called linear tangents, and that puts straight lines between each key. And that gives a constant velocity. We also have what are called flat tangents, which are kind of similar to clamp tangents. What they do is they make the Bezier handles flat at every point. And then we have what's called step tangents, which will step it between different values. So basically, this is stepping in X. So I'm going to go ahead and just put it back to clamp tangents. So as you can see, there's a lot of different ways to control our animation in the graph editor.